everyone. Welcome to the Cārvāka podcast. This is your host kushalmehra. All right, so the Border Gavaskar Trophy is over. Time to talk about cricket again. And to talk about it, as always, I have Aadit Kapadia with me. Kya haal hai, Adit?
Bas, ठीक ठाक. Namaste. Hello, everyone. How's everything going?
So here's the flow. We will first talk about all the cricket, and then there are 2-3 incidents that have created a little bit of outrage
Hmm.
in the world of cricket. So उसके बारे में बाद में बात करेंगे.
What is
First,
cricket
because
without
this,
outrage?
yeah, नहीं मतलब they unnecessarily, I think, मतलब my views on this are quite known. I mean, we have touched upon this on the podcast past में also, but ठीक है. We will be specifically discussing the opinion piece written by Gideon Hague. I will
Hmm.
read the whole damn thing for the listeners and viewers. मैं पूरा
Hmm.
पढ़ूंगा उसको so
Hmm.
that nobody accuses me of misquoting Gideon Hague. So मैं पढ़ ही
Hmm.
दूंगा पूरा. And there was this
Hmm.
small incident on the internet where I came on the other side from people who might have expected on Mohammad Shami and that small 30-second video clip that was there. I want to talk about that also. But first, um, for those people who don't know what happened, well, the Border Gavaskar Trophy was finally concluded. The last two test matches were number 3 was in Indore, which Australia won, and number 4 was in Ahmedabad, which ended in a draw. And that resulted in Team India winning the Border Gavaskar Trophy fourth time in a row by a
Mhm.
margin of 2-1. And देखो आदित्य, let's start with this.
Hmm.
मुंबई वालों को नवंबर 2004 के टेस्ट मैच की घटिया पिच बनाने के लिए आज तक गालियां मिलती हैं. अभी तुम अहमदाबाद वालों को कितने टाइम तक गालियां खानी है?
नहीं मतलब हम लोग को 2021 में तो गालियां मिली थी इंडिया इंग्लैंड के बट ऑनेस्टली I would rather prefer Ahmedabad making that pitch rather than this trash.
oh,
It was
oh my
absolute
god.
trash. मतलब हम लोग मस्ती कर रहे थे पाकिस्तान की टूर में कि दे हैव प्रिपेयर्ड हाईवेज एंड रोड्स. हमने तो हाईवे विद बैरिकेड्स तैयार कर दिए थे यार.
मतलब मैं शहजाद को प्राइवेटली मैसेज किया, शहजाद को बोला देखो हमने भी रोड बनानी शुरू कर दी है.
बट द रियल क्वेश्चन इज हियर राइट कि देखो तब बात ये हो रही थी दैट पीसीबी वांटेड टू एंश्योर कि पाकिस्तान सीरीज हारे ना राइट. एंड दिस इज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर सेइंग ओ वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप के लिए ये बनी एंड दिस एंड दैट एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. Doesn't matter, man. The excuses don't cut it with me. This was just a abominable wicket. And the fact is, you border Gavas. The strange thing is, हम लोग जो last series last time में 2-1 जीते थे, right? This is the same result, but 4 completely awful test matches. Like not one of them except for the first innings in Delhi, which was a good pitch. Okay, Delhi first innings in Delhi where both the sides were break even, and then Australia just has an implosion. वो होता है. Delhi was like Adelaide, right? There was no wicket that was competitive. And there is one thing I want to say on this podcast that a lot of people in the west from the west have been saying, and I kind of agree that if it is a wicket that assists the fast bowlers on the first or second day, it gets easier to bat on day 3, 4 and 5. If it's a wicket that assists the spinners on day 1, it gets worse to bat on from day 3, 4, 5. So with that in mind, we have to answer ourselves. Do we want 5-day test matches? Do we want test matches to last the 5 days? Do we want crowds to come? And the crowds also, I'm sorry, I was very disappointed in my hometown. The crowd
Yeah,
was very
Ahmedabad
bad.
was a
Like
disappointment. बाकी first 3 test matches में tickets were sold out यार.
no, but even in Ahmedabad, I think you can't completely blame. First of all, the crowds were to blame. I mean, people should have showed up, right? But even if less people were showing up, you should have had things where like either आप tickets free कर देते because आपको पता था कि pitch इतनी बुरी है.
अरे
Right?
यार
कि कुछ
सारा
result आने नहीं वाला.
टिकट्स बेवकूफ के जैसे बीजेपी खा गई यार. क्या है यार, तू भी जानता है, मैं भी
वो
जानता हूँ.
the first day में ना,
अरे मगर
not the
बाद में
last 4
टिकटें ही
days.
नहीं मिली ना. वही तो, टिकट खा गए
I
फिर
thought
लोगों
people
का
were.
इंटरेस्ट खत्म हो गया.
I thought people were getting, but in any case, I think the match was, everyone knew that the match was heading for a draw from day 4.
देख, और एक अहमदाबाद में एक ऑप्टिकल इल्यूशन ये भी हो सकती है ना, क्योंकि कितना 1,35,000 की कैपेसिटी है, तो अगर 30-40 हजार लोग आए तो इंदौर तो भरा लगेगा, वानखेड़े तो भरा लगेगा, मगर अहमदाबाद तो
हाँ,
खाली
no, no.
लगेगा ना.
और वो हुआ था फर्स्ट डे पे they had like 75-80,000 people and second day pe they had 40-45,000, so it was a very healthy crowd, right? Because when Kohli scored the century you could hear the stadium go very noisy. Or पांच, and I agree that we Ahmedabadis can be very loud, you know. But 5-10 हजार लोग इतना आवाज नहीं बना सकते जितना जितना. So I agree with you that it looks like, but remember हम लोग तब we had talked about this that test matches should only be played in select venues, right? I actually am of the opinion that Ahmedabad actually has another stadium which is about 20-25,000 key capacity. Maybe you should think about holding test matches in those stadiums if you cannot ensure that people are not going to come for test matches, because it looks bad. If you want to rival the MCG pe, the Cricket Australia doesn't have to tell people to come. People show up. Boxing Day test is a tradition. Ashes ki Boxing Day hoti hai, 90,000 people are lining up from 9 in the morning to go to the stadium. Agar if we cannot ensure that viewing experience, we maybe should, because IPL, I have no doubt in my mind when Gujarat Titans take the field on March 31st in the IPL, the stadium is going to be packed, right? But if we cannot ensure that same viewership in test matches, maybe we have to think about holding the test matches on a second ground, or making it where आप ऊपर के sections बंद कर देते हो, and making sure that everyone who has a ticket doesn't have to sit at the top, they all sit at the ground, because तो मजा आता है ना देखने में, players को भी मजा आता है when the crowd is in it.
Yeah, but I think it was overall, on the pitches now. I'm going to
हाँ,
give you
back to
my
the
4
series now.
pitches. My four pitch rankings,
हाँ,
going from the worst to the best. This is how
हाँ,
I'm going. I'm not going from the best to the worst. So the
correct.
worst pitch, arguably in the series. I mean, I am so happy that they have been given the poor rating and points have been deducted. And shame on the BCCI to challenge this decision in the ICC.
Yeah.
Shame on the BCCI. Sala Indore ki wo ghatiya pitch ko, if the BCCI thinks they should challenge, shame on them. Shame.
Yeah.
Second worst
Because
pitch of the tournament is
no,
Ahmedabad.
in my opinion, Indore was worse than Ahmedabad because
Yeah, I agree.
Huh.
I
Because
agree with
yes, there was a result, and quite frankly, a lot of people had this Schadenfreude across the world because India में pitches इतनी भी बुरी नहीं होती थी. After we lost the Chennai Test match against England, they became objectively terrible, and everyone was like, "हाँ, you needed one team to defeat India on a spinning wicket," and Australia repeated what they did in Pune in 2017. And basically defeated. So India को अकल आई कि भाई अभी we can't just keep spinning tops when Australia comes without any and I actually believe if Australia were smart enough to play more warm-up games in the first, before the first or the second test, or between first and the second test, the series would have been more competitive.
Yeah. So second worst pitch in my view was Ahmedabad. Horrible
Yeah.
pitch again. Third was Delhi. Fourth was Nagpur.
No, I think third was Nagpur and fourth was Delhi. Nagpur was an objectively worse pitch than Delhi. Delhi में
क्या बात कर
Australia
रहा है
just has just हाँ, Delhi में तो India and Australia were break even in the first innings. They were just 1 run difference, na. Then Australia just had that ridiculous implosion in the third innings where they decided to sweep everything. So I think Delhi was a little better than Nagpur, in my opinion. But regardless, they were not ideal for the.
Yeah.
देखो,
None
हम
of the
लोग
4 pitches were ideal. That I will accept here. That I will accept.
Yeah, हम लोग बिल्डअप कर रहे थे कि ओ इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया, यू नो, माय गॉड, बॉर्डर गावस्कर ट्रॉफी. If people from England are saying कि भाई this is nowhere close to Ashes, they are absolutely right. The level of cricket or the pitches were played here were nowhere close to the Ashes. Nowhere close.
Yeah.
देखो, Ashes 4-0 ऑस्ट्रेलिया जीती थी last time, but England was in with a chance in many of those games, right? England had bad patches and stuff. Hobart में ठीक है, you know, if you get out bundled out for 200 chasing 275, I completely understand. But if both teams are scoring like 400 and one team is only scoring 100 or something, or the wicket is just horrible to play on from day 1 and 2, this is just bad. So I agree. And by the way, हम लोग जब बॉर्डर गावस्कर ट्रॉफी का डिस्कशन खत्म कर ले, I think कुशल, we should talk about the New Zealand test matches, right?
Yes.
Props to, but we'll talk about it. But 2 of the most historic test matches played in 2 weeks in New Zealand.
Yeah,
I mean, can you believe that? Back to back. So,
back to back हुआ है.
um,
So
so
yeah, so the pitch stock, I believe, like honestly, Ahmedabad की जो pitch थी, मतलब the only good thing out of this entire so all दो तीन चीजें थी. So obviously joint man of the series मिला अपना Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja ko. I think that was perfect. I find it fine. There was no objection at my end. Do you think
I
that
agree.
the joint man of the series was correct?
No, yeah, absolutely. I think because देखो एक ने अगर बैटिंग में बचा है तो दूसरे ने बॉलिंग में बचा है. Right? It was like it was not even a contest in my opinion. So I think I agree completely with you. Where I think I would have changed it a little bit is maybe did you think we persisted with Akshar Patel far too long? Do you think we could have had a specialist spinner?
For Ahmedabad, yes, but then अक्षर फिर वही बैट यार लास्ट टेस्ट में भी साला बैटिंग करके वो लीड तो हमारी एंड में अक्षर की वजह से ही बनी ना, जो विराट के साथ खेल गया. सो अक्षर
हाँ,
वाज प्लेइंग एज अ बैट्समैन बॉस.
then I have no objection because if Akshar, but the thing is, can Akshar ensure you playing as a batsman in non-India conditions? I don't know yet, right? तो वो देखने वाली बात है अभी. That's still something that we have to discuss and see कि क्या हो सकता है उसका.
Look, Akshar Patel is not playing outside India. He is going to play in India. This whole
Yeah.
concept of playing three spinners is based on the idea that something has happened in our cricketing thinking where since the last 4 years or 5 years, we have decided to make absolute spitting cobra spinning tracks. That's what we have done. Now, I am not complaining beyond a point because I think Nagpur level, Delhi level की pitch मैं फिर भी सहन कर लूंगा. I personally feel the batsman should adjust. Rohit Sharma has shown by 200s in those tracks in Chennai and Nagpur. Slightly better than Nagpur, I accept. But यार इंदौर के जैसी अगर India wants to make such, तो then let us just stop test cricket then. Why are we wasting everyone's time? 2 दिन में मैच खत्म हो रहे हैं यार. What
Yeah.
nonsense.
And also, I don't understand this balls bouncing shin high on day one. Like, I understand low bounce India mein hai, but you can have some level of arrangement where the ball is not bouncing that much. Like, curators ko aap kya kar rahe ho? What the hell are you doing? Right?
नहीं
So,
क्या कर रहे हैं क्यूरेटर्स? देख बॉस, अनलाइक ऑस्ट्रेलिया और इंग्लैंड, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ वहां पे बोर्ड का जीरो इंटरफियरेंस होता है, मगर वहां पे बोर्ड्स का क्यूरेटर के ऊपर कम इंटरफियरेंस होता है. इट्स अ कल्चरल इशू ऑल्सो. यहाँ पे बीसीसीआई हर चीज में उंगल कर रहा है पिच क्रिएशन में. और मुझे नहीं मानते हो, वसीम जाफर ने एक इंटरव्यू में बोल दिया ईएन चैपल के साथ. इट वाज सो आयरॉनिकल. ईएन चैपल बोलता है हमारे यहाँ तो कोई इंटरफेरेंस नहीं होती, आई हैव नेवर सीन इट, आई नेवर हर्ड इट. और वसीम जाफर बोलता है हमारे यहाँ सिर्फ इंटरफेरेंस ही होती रहती है हम लोग पिच में. तो मतलब इट्स अ कल्चरल इशू. क्या बोले अभी?
it is.
अगर
No,
ऐसा
no,
हम लोग पिच बनाने वाले, बैट्समैन का कॉन्फिडेंस का सत्यानाश कर दिया यार हमने हमारे.
अरे क्या इनिंग्स खेल रहे हैं विराट कोहली की गेम है क्या? पूरा पूरा दिन इंडिया में नॉट लाइक स्कोर अ बाउंड्री फॉर लाइक 1.5 सेशन. I
विराट
don't
ने
understand.
उस दिन जो फोर्थ डे पे था, ऑनेस्टली बोलूं, हम लोग जो हमारी कितनी लीड हुई थी एंड में 90 की हुई थी ना, 91 की
Yeah,
लीड.
90s. Yes, 91, yeah, something 70. मतलब basically it was less than 100.
हाँ, हमारी जो अराउंड वो लीड जो थी, अगर विराट फर्स्ट सेशन में थोड़ा फास्ट खेला होता था अगर,
हाँ,
तो हमारी
अगर
ये बाय द एंड ऑफ द डे 150 की लीड होती थी. मेरे हिसाब से 150 की लीड हो. I get that Shreyas Iyer was injured and we were handicapped genuinely because of that. So
correct.
Virat had a point. He is like, यार Shreyas was injured, that's why I had to play slow. But the point is, boss, what are we doing? What do we want from Test cricket in India? Border Gavaskar Trophy now is going to become a 5-match Test series from the next time we play. I think we are going to Australia next in a year and a half. Then the Aussies come back after 2 years. Then what
Correct.
do we intend to do with this format of cricket in India? Or we have realized कि भाई 3 दिन में निपटाओ, आगे बढ़ो, 2 दिन का एक्स्ट्रा रेस्ट मिलता है, ऐसे ही टर्निंग घटिया पिच बनाओ. बॉस इंडिया, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूं कि जो 2000 से लेकर 2012 तक मिलती थी वोट पिच, जो एक्चुअली में बहुत सारी हम लोग वी वुड आल्सो मेक फ्लैट बैटिंग विकेट्स, व्हिच इज आल्सो नॉट करेक्ट. वो टाइम का नहीं. बट कैन वी मेक अ पिच, आदित, दैट इज
हाँ.
स्लाइटली बेटर देन नागपुर एंड दिल्ली?
No, we
एंड
have. We have. So every time Australia has come in the last 2001, 98 में excellent tracks. in Chennai, in Bangalore, and in Kolkata, right? In the reason why India wins in Chennai is because Sachin Tendulkar goes absolutely ballistic in the third innings, right? Varna Australia is actually ahead of us in Chennai. In 1998, Shane Warne and Gavin Robertson have gotten 8 wickets. In 2001, it takes a brilliant, and 2000, mind you, 2001 में Australia की team was 3 times better than India's team. It had Glenn McGrath, Shane Warne, Jason Gillespie, both the Wars, Matthew Hayden, Adam Gilchrist. क्या team थी यार वो? And you prepare fair wickets, right, on them. Bombay में Australia beats us by 10 wickets. We don't go and prepare a spitting cobra. In Calcutta, yes, the wickets were turning. Yes, Harbhajan Singh was bowling well, but you prepare a fair wicket which takes spin. You play out of your skins and wins. That is what makes tournaments great. कि आप पिच में थोड़ा अपना एडवांटेज रखो, पर उतना ही मत रखो where it becomes a lottery ticket.
But to be fair, I mean, सचिन ने अपनी ये बुक में भी मेंशन किया था, ये कोट है सचिन की बुक का, page 347. This reminded me of something that happened in Melbourne in December 2003. On the last day of the test match, with Australia needing 97 runs to win, there was a delay to the start of play despite conditions apparently being perfect. The reason was the pitch had been tampered with by the groundsman in clear violation of the rules. At the end of day 4, there was a crack in the pitch as a result of wear and tear, and balls landing in the crack could have done anything. To our surprise, the groundsman had filled up the crack before the start of play on day 5, incurring the umpire's wrath. The umpire spotted it, and because the repaired area had not fully dried out and was different color from the rest of the wicket, the umpires had to instruct the groundsman to undo the repair and restore the pitch to its original condition. But the point is, I'm not saying it uniquely happens in India, which is why I read a quote from Sachin's book.
Yeah.
But the point is, it happens way more in India. I'm being very open.
Yeah, but नहीं, मैं ये I'm saying कि it happens. It's not just happening way more in India. I think it's happening way more in India in the last 5 years or 6 years.
नहीं, साउथ अफ्रीका तो वाज नोन यार, वो लोग तो इतनी घटिया पिचे बनाते थे, दे वुड ऑलवेज डॉक्टर द विकेट्स टू. साउथ अफ्रीका तो नोन है इसके लिए.
नहीं, आई एम नॉट डिनाइंग दैट. सो ये 96 97 में भी तो हुआ था कि when South Africa came to, ironically it happened in Ahmedabad again. When South Africa came to Ahmedabad and they had 175 to win, Javagal Srinath picks up 6 for 21 and bowls them out for 120, right? And I mean, that is, by the way, side note, kabhi agar podcast mein waqt mila to we'll talk about how brilliant Srinath, Kapil Dev, Zahir Khan were bowling on Indian wickets with reverse swinging the ball, right? But because that's a separate, because at that time even the fast bowlers used to take as many wickets, or not as many, but wickets.
रिवर्स स्विंग तो अभी खत्म हो गई ना आदित, वॉबल बॉल आ गई 2017 में, और अभी वो सलाइवा वलाइवा और बहुत सारी चीजों में रिस्ट्रिक्शन आ गई है. रिवर्स स्विंग तो खत्म ही हो गई है ना अभी.
नहीं, मतलब Mitchell Starc still does it, but my point is, what I was trying to say is कि उसके बाद South Africa, we go to South Africa in Durban in the same year and we get absolute spitting cobras fast bowling में. They were not spinning, but of course they were bouncing like anything and stuff. But yet people remember that Sachin Tendulkar and Mohammad Azharuddin played that insane knock in Cape Town where they had partnership of 222 runs, where the wicket was doing all sorts of things.
That was that Azhar phase ना, वो हर बॉल पे छक्का मारने को जाता था.
हाँ, मतलब we were 57 for 5 and they smashed 222 in like 35 overs or 40 overs or something like that in partnership, right? I think Wisden or something said a partnership fitting of gods, yeah, something like that. My question is, we remember that because our batsmen would take on that challenge and give. Jaise Virat Kohli, Mitchell Johnson ko took him on and stuff like that. Where the wicket is a little not loaded in your favor, you remember the great performances. What is the last great batting performance in Indian cricket happened in India that everyone remembers? And if I ask everyone कि विराट कोहली का last कौन सा बढ़िया performance था इंडिया में test matches mein, that people remembers in the comments, I'm telling you boss, the answers that will come are mostly from 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
4 years ago, 5 years ago. लास्ट जो ग्रेट बैटिंग परफॉर्मेंस इंडिया में हुई है, दोनों रोहित की हुई है. नागपुर 100, चेन्नई 100.
मैं बिफोर अहमदाबाद की बात कर रहा हूँ, राइट? बिफोर अहमदाबाद, विराट कोहली का लास्ट ग्रेट दैट यू रिमेंबर, राइट? एंड टाइप इट इन द कमेंट्स. आई वुड लाइक टू सी कि what people are talking about. But that is what happens when you create this lottery wicket कि कोई भी जो रूट भी आके 5 विकेट ले सकता है, माइकल क्लार्क आके 6 विकेट ले सकता है, तो फिर यही होगा ना.
And eventually, what India is not realizing is that what if the opposition also starts playing three spinners? Like Australia got it in the end by playing a left arm finger spinner
ये
and two off spinners.
ये
They will
हमने
get it. What?
And we talked about this in the last podcast. So the reason why we are not dwelling much on the first and second test matches because हमने mid series podcast किया था, and Kushal and I both were saying that Australia will come back in Indore because unlike, and I actually did a podcast with Paul Dennett on Mindmakers where I was talking to him about one thing, that this strategy could work against England because England did not have attacking spinners like Australia does. Nathan Lyon, Australia in general, right, has attacking spinners. And Kushal, I want to tell our viewers and you, a few weeks ago I was privileged to be a part of this small panel discussion I had with John Buchanan, the old coach of Australia, under whom they won the 3 World Cups.
Shane Warne ka favorite.
So I actually asked him that question, not about Warney, but I asked him about spinning options. That have you looked at spinners as always aggressive options? Because even when Warney was injured, they had Stuart McGill or Brad Hogg who were always looking to take wickets, right? Unko padi nahi thi agar. On the opposite side, if you see Ashley Giles, या फिर अभी Jack Leach का under Ben Stokes, he has changed, but before that against Joe Root, वो एक end tie up करने के लिए ही रखते थे कि you bowled 10 overs for 15 runs and the fast bowlers will take wickets on the other side, right? So that approach Australia में हमेशा अलग था. They always had wicket taking spinners. So Nathan Lyon को जब chance मिला, he just ran through us in Indore. Completely ran through us.
बहुत अच्छी बॉलिंग की उसने, बहुत अच्छी बॉलिंग की उसने. एक्चुअली अहमदाबाद में भी अच्छी बॉलिंग की,
बहुत सही. So that's what I was telling you. Nathan Lyon is a damn good bowler, and people were like, मैं जब ये बोल रहा था, people were trolling me saying, अरे Nathan Lyon तो क्या है, उसकी एवरेज देखो. I'm like, boss, वो कौन सी विकेट्स पे डालता है वो भी आप देखो.
बहुत अच्छा बॉलर है.
Yeah, and I mean,
in fact, in visiting bowlers, he is the best visiting bowler in India now.
Oh, if we had a super test right now where we were playing rest of the world against probably England, which is probably one of the best test teams right now, right? I would love to see Ashwin and Lyon bowl in tandem. That would be so much fun. Both the off and both are completely different off spinners. Lyon is the Eraplalli Prasanna, type Harbhajan Singh type classical off spinner, and Ashwin is your engineering off spinner who's bowling your carom balls and variations. Maza aa jayega.
Let's be very clear. The two. See, I am a Jadeja fan. I like Jadeja and all, but Ahmedabad clearly separated the men from the boys. And in इसमें मैं अश्विन को एक लेवल ऊपर लाइन से भी रखूंगा, क्योंकि अहमदाबाद में सिर्फ एक आदमी विकेट ले पा रहा था, वो अश्विन था. बॉस उसने फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में पहले 2 दिन में, जिसमें जो हमारी हाईवे थी, जो पिच जिसको हम हाईवे बोल रहे हैं, उसके फर्स्ट 2 दिन में अश्विन ने 6 विकेटें निकाली हैं. वो आदमी जीनियस है वो आदमी. बॉस कितनी मुश्किल पिच में भी उसने विकेट निकाल ली. सी, लायन ने बॉलिंग अच्छी की, मगर लायन डिड नॉट फाइंड इट इजी.
He didn't.
Did not. And बॉस अश्विन ने कैसे, क्या यार. और एक है, अच्छा हो गया किसी ने लाइव स्ट्रीम में भी लिखा है, यार केएस भरत की बात करनी पड़ेगी. 4th इनिंग्स में उसने क्या किया है उसने. हम लोग वी कुड हैव बीन इन द मैच बॉस. फोर्थ डे उसने कुनोमैन को ड्रॉप किया, ठीक है, अश्विन की बॉलिंग पे. नेक्स्ट डे उसने अक्षर की बॉलिंग में लाबुशेन को ड्रॉप किया, और अश्विन की बॉलिंग.
अरे यू आर फॉरगेटिंग द बिगेस्ट ट्रेविस हेड इन द थर्ड ओवर ऑफ द डे.
हाँ, और उसने ट्रेविस. तो भाई मेरे को एक बात बता कि क्या ये हमारा कीपर हो सकता है? और ये मैं एक मैच के बलबूते पे नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, मैं 4 मैच देखने के बाद बोल रहा हूँ. इनफैक्ट मैंने निखिल को भी मैसेज किया था, आई एम नॉट इम्प्रेस्ड विद श्रीकर भरत. आई थिंक वी शुड बी वेरी वरीड कि अगर ऋषभ नहीं है, क्योंकि ऋषभ की क्या है, बैटिंग इतनी अमेजिंग है. पीपल फॉरगेट ऋषभ इज अ डैम गुड कीपर. He's become so good as a keeper now.
No, not just that. I mean, I am of the opinion to get Dinesh Karthik from the commentary box and give him the keeping gloves. Yaar, he'll still be better.
Vridhiman साहब.
I know. हमने पता है प्रीव्यू पॉडकास्ट किया था जब हम लोग ये बात कर रहे थे.
नहीं बोला था वृद्धिमान शाह को लेके आना चाहिए था.
हाँ, I was telling कि शाह को लेके आओ, because मुझे I had zero, मतलब देखो, I was not anti Srikar Bharat. but I had doubts
Yeah,
with what I've seen in Ranji
yeah.
Trophy, and I said that कि मैं तो मतलब उस time पे ईशान किशन को बोला था कि he should be our left field choice, but looking at what he did in Ahmedabad, and Ahmedabad was not a difficult wicket to keep on, boss. It was not. I mean,
Struggling. It was shocking.
and the fact is, your keeper should not be worse than Alex Carey, who's a touring team keeper and who was doing a stellar
Very
job
good.
behind the stumps.
Very good point.
So
But
that
it's
is a
sad.
benchmark.
फटी
It's very
मेरी
sad.
मेरी
And
कीपिंग देख के मेरी फटी.
Kushal, can you do me one favor? एक बार, if you pull up the scorecard of Ahmedabad, look up how many buys were given on that day.
Hmm.
The number will stun you. Because
इंडिया
मुझे
वर्सेस
याद है,
ऑस्ट्रेलिया ना,
हाँ,
फोर्थ
while
टेस्ट ना, फोर्थ.
fourth test. So while Kushal is pulling up the scorecard, one point I would like to say that
स्कोर
what was
कार्ड
very
में रुक जा. 22
हाँ,
22 22 कौन से सेकंड इनिंग्स में ऑस्ट्रेलिया
first
की?
innings में, first
ऑस्ट्रेलिया की फर्स्ट इनिंग्स में एक्स्ट्रास 15, नो बॉल 2, वाइड 1, बाई 9, एलबीडब्ल्यू 3.
correct. ये
और
9
ऑस्ट्रेलिया
बाई
की
जो है,
सेकंड
हाँ
इनिंग्स
सॉरी, हाँ go on.
में, सेकंड इनिंग्स में 4 बाइज है.
हाँ, so ये जो 9 बाई है, the reason I talked about this is all of them happened in the first 5 overs when Mohammad Shami was having that wayward spell, right? The reason I bring that up is एक वाला तो थोड़ा difficult था, I agree, right? But when a bowler is struggling, like Shami was in the first over, you don't go the other. There was a catch that was dropped. There were 9, 8, 2 fours that went off buys, right? There were a couple of close shaves where the wicketkeeper could have done better. When all this happens, uska confidence और बुरा हो जाता है, and the spell ends up being worse than what it was, right? That is why I bring it up. Ki even though he may have done a stellar job after by stopping the buys, that first half an hour where the ball was swinging, and it was swinging in Ahmedabad, the first half an hour, because 9:30 baje match shuru hoti hai, right? And Shami was not able to control the ball, and then you drop a catch of him. It's just unforgivable.
अच्छा, इन सच ए सिनेरियो,
Hmm.
क्या केएल राहुल को फिर से मौका मिल गया वापस आने को एज अ
नहीं,
कीपर, लोअर ऑर्डर
नहीं,
बैट्समैन?
नहीं, मैं सुनील गावस्कर नहीं हूं, मैं सुनील शेट्टी से रिलेटेड भी नहीं हूं. I don't know. Gavaskar said this. I don't understand. And what is this nonsense? Oh, KL Rahul has made 100 in England. What is this rubbish? He has made 100 in England, so we will ignore every single thing that he did since that 100 to this point and play him. उससे ज्यादा तो रिद्धिमान सहा या ईशान किशन को चांस दो यार, if you are just doing as a one-off test match. I think there is a little bit of an arrogance also in the Indian team management कि we have picked the horses, they better now fit the courses.
आई थिंक द प्रोबेबिलिटीज ऑफ, देख, वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप के ऊपर तो हम लोग एक डिटेल्ड पॉडकास्ट करेंगे ही जून फर्स्ट वीक में पक्का है. देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ डेडिकेटेड पॉडकास्ट ऑन द वर्ल्ड टेस्ट चैंपियनशिप फाइनल, and obviously we will discuss WTC and
और
Ashes
उसके बीच
both.
में भी करेंगे पॉडकास्ट, ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ
नहीं, WTC and Ashes दोनों डिस्कस कर लेंगे जून में. नहीं, उसके बीच में तो ऑब्वियसली देयर विल बी अदर डिस्कशंस दैट वील डू. अभी वनडे सीरीज खत्म होगी और उसके बाद
कुशल का फेवरेट शुरू होगा आईपीएल.
आईपीएल. हाय हाय हाय, सत्यानाश.
मैं देखूंगा,
आईपीएल.
so don't worry. When I will watch Gujarat Titans defend their championship and beat people again. By the way, IPL के बारे में I don't want to take a digression, but as Mumbai Indians fans, situations look very bleak, man. मतलब आपके तो सारे स्टार प्लेयर इंजर्ड है.
हाँ, आई नो. कैम ग्रीन जिताएगा हमको.
हाँ, नहीं, but Mumbai Indians will still do better than RCB.
हाँ, आरसीबी तो यार उनकी 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 विमेन्स टीम भी I'm sorry, I have to laugh. आरसीबी एक ऐसा नश्तर है, वो जिधर जाते हैं कोई भी मैच तो आरसीबी का हालत खराब ही होने वाली है. मेरे को ऐसे कलेजे को अच्छा लगता है ना आरसीबी का पोपट देख के, बहुत अच्छा लगता है मेरे को.
मतलब मैं इतना खुश नहीं होता हूँ देख के, बट इट्स वेरी फनी. मतलब आई डोंट नो फ्रेंचाइज में क्या पनौती है यार कि ऑल द स्टार प्लेयर्स डू बैडली.
आरसीबी का मजा आ गया, 5 के 5 मैच हार गई है. Oh, it is so much fun. It is so much fun. To all my fans from Bangalore, I'm sorry. I have to rub it into you. It's such a stupid thing. I don't care. Anyways, so obviously New Zealand versus England की सीरीज हुई, वेस्ट इंडीज वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका की 2 टेस्ट मैच सीरीज हुई, और श्रीलंका वर्सेस न्यूजीलैंड की 2 टेस्ट मैच सीरीज चालू है अभी, बाय द वे. सो तीन चीजें हो रही है. So yeah, so just to make people go through the whole thing,
Yes.
so the score line was obviously in the case of New Zealand versus England, the first test match was won by England. The second test match was arguably one of the greatest test matches you will ever see. And our Adit is having some internet issues. He'll be back, don't worry. So in the meantime, I will just run you guys through what happened over there. So yeah, so that series ended in a 1-1 draw. The West Indies versus South Africa. I don't even know if were you guys aware West Indies versus South Africa was happening. If you guys are not aware, I don't blame you. But yeah, West Indies versus South Africa was a 2 test match series, which South Africa defeated West Indies 2-0 in that. In the second test match, in the second innings, Tempa Bavuma played really well. He scored a brilliant 172. I was shocked to look at Tempa Bavuma's conversion rate, by the way. Like his conversion rate is like abysmal. So let me bring it up for you guys. Like Tempa Bavuma ka test match record is, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but like his test match average is 34.5 in 54 matches, and he has 200s. That's all. That's all he has, 200s. And he has 27 odd 50s. The man clearly does not believe in scoring hundreds. He just keeps scoring 50s after 50s. He has 20 50s, by the way. He has scored 2,997 runs at an average of 35.25 Tempa Bavuma. And he has scored only 200s. He has a really bad conversion rate, Tempa Bavuma. Horrible conversion rate.
Sorry about that. My stream was freezing, so I had to do this.
No
Unfortunately.
problem. No problem.
So I'm going to try. This is from an temp device when my computer was restarting. But I was like, I have to join in. The show must go on.
Yeah, good. Chalo. So no, I was just pointing out how South Africa beat West Indies 2-0 in the series, and Tempa
Correct.
Bavuma made that magnificent 172. But
Absolutely.
like, he has one of the worst conversion rates, boss, 20 50s and 200s. And he scored this 100 after years.
Absolutely. And what's worse is कि he actually मतलब वो बहुत बुरा perform कर रहा था consistently, and not just in terms of hundreds, even in terms of 50s he was doing very bad. Like he was not scoring enough, and he was getting out to awful shots. Temba Bavuma.
Yeah, but
So
he has a far better ODI average. Huh? He has an average of 45 in ODIs, 300s, 250s in 23 matches.
but the question is, after all that, do you think he's fit to lead South Africa?
एडम मार्करम ऑलरेडी कैप्टन बन गया ना उनका T20 का.
T20 का बन चुका है, बट अभी द कंट्रोवर्सी इज कि उसको वहां पे कर रहे हैं ना, उसको बोल रहे हैं कि ओडीआई एंड टेस्ट मैच क्रिकेट, और उसके ऊपर they'll sort of focus on him. So I don't know if he's ready to
I think
lead or
Bavuma
something.
is better suited for their test match captaincy. I think वो थोड़ा हैंडल कर पाएगा. बाकी साउथ अफ्रीका के पंगे साउथ अफ्रीका जाने. मगर अच्छा, ऑब्वियसली उसके बाद न्यूजीलैंड वर्सेस इंग्लैंड वाज 1-1.
Correct.
इंग्लैंड जस्ट केप्ट ऑन प्लेइंग हाउ दे प्ले बेसबॉल.
यार
फर्स्ट टेस्ट मैच हो या सेकंड टेस्ट मैच हो.
first of all, let's give credit where it's due. Baseball is working. आप अभी
Yeah,
जो
it
भी
clearly
बोलना हो वो
worked there.
बोलो, it is clearly working. And a lot of people have heard say कि अरे सहवाग अच्छा सहवाग used to play, Gilchrist used to play. Yes, सहवाग and Gilchrist were far ahead of their time, पर यहाँ तो पूरी टीम ऐसी खेल रही है. In fact, the
हाँ
only
ऐसा.
person who sometimes doesn't is Joe Root.
यार ऋषभ पंत इक्का दुक्का बेसबॉल स्टाइल में भी खेल लेता है कभी कभी. बट यार
Yeah,
फर्स्ट टेस्ट मैच इंग्लैंड जीत गई थी. अगेन काफी कंफर्टेबली जीत गई थी. नहीं,
correct.
कंफर्टेबली जीती थी. दे प्रीटी मच डिस्ट्रॉयड न्यूजीलैंड इन द फर्स्ट टेस्ट मैच, एंड देन द फन स्टार्टेड, राइट?
Then the fun started. Absolutely. Then let's look at this way. Even the first test match, Harry Brook jo khel raha hai, he is playing at another level, man. Like
Yeah.
he was a complete T20 player, got a brilliant, like very happy for him. IPL, I think usko 17.5 crore या ऐसा कुछ पागल सा contract मिला. I forget the amount, the final amount, right? And he was playing brilliantly, right? And then uske baad you had the whole issue with Joe Root and everyone doing what they were doing, right? I mean, they were absolutely brilliant. Like they were just, Joe Root ka jo game hai with Bazball has gone up about 15 or 20 times than what it used to be. So that I completely agree. Second, I think let's come back to the bowling. James Anderson, at the age of 40 and a half, the way he's bowling is quite insane. मतलब कुछ अलग ही लेवल पे बॉलिंग कर रहा है जेम्स एंडरसन.
He's bowling really well. But यार आई थिंक न्यूजीलैंड ने यार क्या
वो
बॉलर
सेकंड,
सिलेक्ट कर रहे हैं ये लोग फर्स्ट
हाँ
टेस्ट में. ये लोग के बॉलर कहाँ चले गए?
नहीं, इट्स नॉट अबाउट द बॉलर आल्सो. आई थिंक वो लोग ने एक
वो
विच
एक
इज,
सऊदी है उनके पास यार, और कोई है ही नहीं. वो क्या फिंकनर और वो दूसरा कुगलमैन या क्या नाम है उसका, मैं भूल गया अभी उसका, तो मेरे को प्रोनाउंस करने को भी नहीं आ रहा है. मगर कोई
स्कॉट
बॉलर
स्कॉट
नहीं.
कुगलाइन.
कुगलाइन था
हाँ
एक. मतलब उनके कोई बॉलर क्या कर रहे हैं वो लोग, मेरे को तो समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. और न्यूजीलैंड मतलब फर्स्ट टेस्ट
नो,
मैच तो वो लोग इंग्लैंड से 267 रन से हार गए भैया.
हाँ 267 रन से हार गए, एंड दे डिडंट डू एज वेल एज दे थिंक. बट वेयर द फन स्टार्ट्स इज द सेकंड टेस्ट मैच, राइट? बिकॉज
या
सेकंड टेस्ट मैच में न्यूजीलैंड फर्स्ट केम आउट ऑल गन्स फायरिंग, and and even though England was in a baseball mode where they essentially went away with the game, right? वो लोग तो मतलब पूरा गेम लेके निकल ही गए थे. And if I look at, I'm just trying to pull out the scorecard. What Williamson did was amazing. So England starts by declaring at 435, where they think that this is enough based on the last time's performance, and New Zealand gets
या
all out for 209, right? This was pretty
या
much Kolkata 2.0. In the 209, and here is what I want to, they were 107 347. The reason why they did what they did in that was because Tim Southey played this insane knock where he played 73-49 balls and smashed 6 sixes. मतलब वो आके
या
उसने बैट घुमाना शुरू कर दिया, right? So you get the 209. Then New Zealand New Zealand responds with an opening stand of 149. The wicket gets a little easier to bat on, and then Kane Williamson and Tom Blundell have a partnership of their lives, right? Get to 483. But where the game is incredible is then England gets reduced to 84-5, and then Joe Root and Ben Stokes have this partnership. And Joe Root, क्या इनिंग्स खेली है भाई उसने सेकंड इनिंग्स में.
क्या खेला है यार वो बंदा.
95
वो
of
मैच था.
114, 3 sixes. I mean, it had an exemplary innings in every Harry Brook and Joe Root played another great knock, 153. Harry Brook played this, it blows you away type 186. Tim Southey plays a knock that blows you away. Then Kane Williamson responds. Tom Blundell and Daryl Mitchell chip in, and then Joe Root comes. But I want to talk a little bit about Neil Wagner. Neil Wagner is like that player, he's a very good player. He's like a great 85-100 player. लेकिन वो जब टीम में आता है ना, तब टीम में 125% देता है. And he is that big match player ki aake he will not just troll the opposing team, he will just give it to them, give it everything that he has. And the way he bowled, right, to get that last innings for James, because James Anderson had just smashed him for a boundary. ठीक है, he
मगर अच्छा मेरे को एक बात बताइए, न्यूजीलैंड काइल जेमिसन को क्यों नहीं पिकअप कर रही?
I thought Kyle Jameson का कुछ फ्रैक्चर का इशू हुआ था. I don't know if
नहीं, वो तो ठीक हो गया. He recovered from the injury. From what I remember, I don't think so he's injured again. If he's injured again, तो I don't know. But from what I remember in the England series, he was not injured. मतलब
yeah,
वो क्यों
I
नहीं
don't
आ
know
रहा
myself,
खेलने?
because it was a little bizarre. Like ये टेस्ट मैच में तो अलग ही था, because they actually went with 3.5 bowlers, right? Michael Bracewell as the spinner. Normally they go with Ajaz
कुछ
Patel,
भी
right?
कर रही है न्यूजीलैंड, कुछ भी कर रही है न्यूजीलैंड.
But I think the reason why they panicked that they don't have enough batting, so they went with Michael Bracewell, and Michael Bracewell didn't really rock it with the bat, or usko bahut phatke pade. He was the only bowler who was smashed. But Tim Southey, Matt Henry, and Neil Wagner, matlab the spells they threw, I mean, it was just unbelievable. And
Hmm.
and that last, so I mean, this was a test match for generations. No team deserved to lose, but the way New Zealand came back and to win the game by one run, was something
It was
else.
brilliant.
It was
James
brilliant.
Anderson caught down the leg side हो गया था.
Huh. James Anderson caught down the leg side, and to have that nerve to target the rib cage when James Anderson has actually,
Hmm.
hit you for four, hit a boundary or something. It's unbelievable. This was, and then to
So
follow it up,
apparently Kyle Jamieson was injured again just before the
huh?
England test match.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought, that he was injured again.
Because he was injured before that and then he recovered from that and then he got injured again. So उसका तो bad
काइल
luck ही खराब.
जेमिसन काइल जेमिसन का थोड़ा जसप्रीत बुमराह वाला किस्सा हो गया है कि he they keep breaking down, and I actually want to have a 5-minute rant about Bumrah after we are done talking about the good test matches, because it's kind of, as an Indian fan, it's just making me nervous and feel very
But
angry.
honestly, more entertaining than England versus New Zealand. I thought Sri Lanka versus New Zealand was more
Oh,
entertaining.
brilliant.
मजा आ गया. ओहो
पर
क्या
उसमें
खेला
तो
है यार. एंजेलो मैथ्यूज की बैटिंग देखी है तूने उसकी सेकंड इनिंग्स
पर
में.
उसमें तो श्रीलंका themselves are to blame,
या
because
वो 2 वाइड डाल दी उसने. मालूम है लास्ट में 12 रन चाहिए तो उसमें 2 वाइड डाल दी.
नहीं, वो तो अलग है. I mean, in the first innings where New Zealand were down in the dumps at 188 for 6,
फिर वापस आ गए
and
वो.
then, yeah, and then
मैट
Matt
हेनरी ने
Henry,
मारा 72.
Matt Henry scores a 72 and Daryl Mitchell scores a 100. But my God, Daryl Mitchell जो level पे खेल रहा है अभी, he's
सेकंड
playing
इनिंग्स भी तो उसी ने
aggressive.
जिताई.
वही
उसने ही तो
उसी
मार
ने.
मार के जिताया.
And उसके जो एक दो shots थे against Jayasuriya were brilliant, like outstanding shots for sixes. So so New Zealand, and essentially Sri Lanka, should have ended up with a 50-60 run lead, but they didn't, because New Zealand, Matt Henry played out of his skin to get a 70, and New Zealand ended up with an 18 run lead, and they were 373. And then Angelo Matthews plays another stunning knock to get Sri Lanka out of trouble. Sri Lanka was 95 for 4 to get them to
या
302, right? And then New Zealand के पास लिए 285 का target था. And my God, Kane Williamson and Tom Latham first ensure that New Zealand cannot lose. And then after the fall of his wicket, Henry Nichols starts hitting pehle, और उसके बाद Daryl Mitchell 81 of 86 balls. Brilliant
या
knock. I mean, Kane Williamson to thigh amazing. The way he got out of runs when every fielder was on the boundary. And people forget, test match mein, when you need 35 runs of 6 overs, it's not as getting it in one dayers. They can put 9 people on the boundary, which
या
which is essentially what Sri Lanka did.
केन विलियमसन ने जो लास्ट ओवर में 4 मारा. आहा क्या शॉट
Unbelievable.
था वो.
Yeah, and so here is why I brought up Neil Wagner. Most people don't know that Neil Wagner, I think, had either a fractured disc or an enlarged disc or something, and he's going to miss the second test.
या
He was not fully fit. But my God, they got him out, and people ask why. And I think the reason why Neil Wagner was brought out was because I think he's a better batsman than Blair Tickner. So अगर उसको एक ball face करने को आया, Neil Wagner can go and smash it out of the park, or at least go to a point where he can hit a run or something like that, right? But to steal
मैट
that
हेनरी
bye,
भी इंजर्ड था बाय द वे. हेनरी भी इंजर्ड था. दोनों
हाँ,
इंजर्ड
मैट
थे
हेनरी तो,
सेकंड इनिंग्स में.
हाँ, और वो मैट हेनरी रन आउट हो गया, राइट? एंड so he
Yeah.
sacrificed his wicket, but Neil Wagner, to run the way he did, and he was fully in, and then Kane Williamson, that stretch, Harsha Bhogle has posted a picture of the stretch. He was full length committed into that stretch. Amazing. So it was matlab मैं, if I were to say, probably to ऐसी टेस्ट मैचेस दो अगर एक साल में देखने को मिले, तो I would say it's amazing. Two in 1 year is what was sad was the Hagley Oval didn't have that many people. They were making a lot of noise when New Zealand was doing well, so I think more people must
Yeah.
have come up. But I wish that we had like about 10-12,000 people. The Basin Reserve when England New Zealand, My God, I think they had made entry free and they had 11-12,000 people. मजा आ गया वो देखने का. The crowd were into it. And England की matches always मजा आती है because England travel well. Like
और
there are
बामी आमी
people
होती है ना उनकी.
बारहवीं आर्मी होती है नहीं, और इंग्लिश पीपल भी जाते हैं, और न्यूजीलैंड ऑस्ट्रेलिया में तो इंग्लिश एक्सपैट पॉपुलेशन भी काफी है ना, तो दैट्स व्हाई आल्सो दे गो एंड वॉच. तो it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun too. But let's put it, boss. These deserve to be 3-match series, yaar. England, New Zealand did not deserve to end the way they did. So I just wish New Zealand plays more test matches.
Yeah, but they will not because they can't afford it.
तो वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि
साउथ
आईसीसी
अफ्रीका
पैसा
ये लोग नहीं करेंगे, ये लोग क्या देंगे यार. बीसीसीआई को बेसिकली बैंक रोल करना पड़ेगा, और बीसीसीआई बियॉन्ड द पॉइंट बैंक रोल करेगा नहीं किसी को. जब या तो क्रिकेट में प्राइवेट इक्विटी लाओ, मैं तेरे को बोल रहा हूँ क्रिकेट में प्राइवेट इक्विटी लाओ. और ऑनेस्टली अभी लोगों को नेशनलिज्म और पेट्रियटिज्म से बहुत है. मैं बोल रहा हूँ टेस्ट क्रिकेट को, अगर क्रिकेट को बचाना है तो बेसिकली ये झंझटमारी से निकल जाओ, फ्रेंचाइज फॉर्मेट में जाओ, 6 फ्रेंचाइज रखो, बेस्ट प्लेयर्स को हर एक फ्रेंचाइज में डालो. आप 5 डे क्रिकेट को 1000 टाइम्स मोर एंजॉय करोगे, मेरा व्यू है, मगर हर आदमी मेरे से डिसएग्री करेगा इसमें.
I don't know. I actually would be open to have a franchise Test cricket and a franchise ODI cricket. Like I really, I mean, I don't see. मैं तो खुद वो सुपर सीरीज का बड़ा फैन था. It was done bad. It was done badly. But I think they should have something like super series where the best test team that year should play the rest of the world in one test match or 2 test matches. So the best players get together. Or just have this one test match at the end. देखो, मैंने last time Kushal, I said it on our podcast, right, that we should have a window for test cricket, like a 3 or a 4 month window, 3 months in June and 3 months in November, December, so 6 months, right? Now at the beginning of every window, either in June or in December, have one test match between the rest of the world, the best of the 2 teams, right? जहां पे सीजन शुरू हो रहा है, एक आप इंग्लैंड में रखो, एक ऑस्ट्रेलिया में रखो, या इंडिया में रखो, आप जहां कहीं भी रखना चाहते हो, बट हैव दिस, जैसे ईरानी ट्रॉफी होती है रणजी ट्रॉफी में, right, where the last year's winner plays the so either do that or have that. But I certainly think there is space to have like a rest of the world versus something test cricket, because उसी में मजा आएगा. This franchise cricket is really not the best of the world. IPL में भी the best of the world are not playing the best of the world. The best of the world in T20 cricket are playing the best of the world in T20 cricket.
Yeah.
ठीक है. You are not going to have a Steven Smith play all the games in IPL, or Joe Root. And are you going to tell me if you make a list of the best batsmen in the world, Steve Smith and Joe Root won't be there on it?
Yeah.
Right. So that is the thing. And the fact is, are you going to tell me that there is going to be a list of the best 40 cricketers in the world, right? And Rahul Tewatia is going to be on there? No. And I say that even though he's a part of Gujarat Titans, but Rahul Tewatia will play all matches and Steve Smith will not, right? So IPL is not showcasing the best cricketers of the world. It is showcasing some of the best T20 players in India and the best foreign players in separate groups who play T20.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. There has to be maybe something about Test cricket also जो ऐसा हो और वो देखने में बहुत मजा आएगा. Because when you have to, like I said, Nathan Lyon and Ravichandran Ashwin or James Anderson and Mitchell start bowling in tandem. Can you imagine them swinging the ball, or James Anderson and Pat Cummins?
वही तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ, यही होना चाहिए ना, यही होना चाहिए. I don't know. Let's see what happens in the future. Chalo, let's go now to the controversies. There are 3-4 controversies. So let's start with controversy number 1.
Kushal is like, main course खत्म हो गया, अब मसाले पे चलो.
अभी मसाले पे चलो. So the first controversy was obviously so Gideon Hague is a very Gideon Hague के ऊपर आएंगे because he wrote an article in some Aussie media outlet or whatever. He wrote that article there, and it's fine. I mean, Gideon has every right to his opinions and point of view. But उसके पहले I want to say something. यार, what did you make of this? Like, मतलब ये क्या था जो हम लोग ने ये उधर किया? ये मैं तेरे को एक वीडियो दिखा रहा हूँ. ये भी गिडियन के भाई बंद है. ये भी कोई मोदी लवर नहीं है, मगर ये सब छोड़ दे, मोदी लवर हो या हेटर हो, मेरे को उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। कौन सा हमारा देश इन लोगों के मोदी प्रेम या मोदी की नफरत से चलता है। मगर यार
हम्म,
व्हाट इज दिस, ये क्या है, मतलब ये क्या पका हुआ है। ये देखा, एक साइड पे एक क्रिकेट प्लेयर्स है, एंड नाउ सी, आई मीन व्हाट द हेल मैन, व्हाट इज दिस, व्हाट आर दीस पीपल डूइंग। I mean, so basically, for the audio listeners, there is a video of some sort of a thing that they have created. On the one side, you can see players, and the other side, you can see freaking Narendra Modi and the Aussie Prime Minister Albanese. Like,
हम्म.
and then what was that? You know, for God forsaken monstrosity. That I mean,
The stadium yatra.
क्या था वो? Oh my goodness! What was that Rath? What was that?
I I have no idea. First of all, I always say that these if big opening ceremonies, all that, they only work in
Yeah.
T20 cricket. They don't work in test match cricket or something like that. मैं तो इसके fully test match cricket के खिलाफ हूँ. Second thing, this exhibit, I don't know if it was a special exhibit just created for this test match, or is it going to be a permanent exhibit that stays there. If it's going to be a permanent exhibit that stays there, that would be a little, questionable, because why put the leaders of the two countries there and keep the exhibit in the stadium, because stadium has a lot of other exhibits also. So I have no idea what who was thinking what they were, but clearly they weren't thinking much. And
No, no, I want to show this photo. Like, this is
mm,
called the friendship series. Look, I get it. There is foreign policy, there is geopolitics. I get everything. And
mm.
then there is this monstrosity. What is this?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Gold plated golf car. I mean, come on, yaar. Who the hell in the government machinery came up with this, मतलब this third class idea? उस आदमी को, मतलब उसको बैन कर देना चाहिए उस इंसान को. I mean, what is this यार? What are we doing with our cricket? Like, cricket खेलने दो. और 1 लाख लोगों को मोदी जी और अल्बनीज के लिए उठा के ले आए. बाद में जैसे ही
नहीं
मोदी
नहीं,
जी
1 लाख नहीं थे ना. एक so that's what happened. The commentators were saying 1 lakh, but by the time मतलब that's I tweeted कि over 100,000, because the commentators kept saying 100,000, and then by the time lunch break it was down to like 60, 70, 80,000.
अरे वही
And
तो है ना भाई, मोदी गए, कार्यकर्ता, तेरे को मालूम है क्या हुआ है यार?
yeah,
सबको मालूम है, पॉलिटिकल पार्टी है, लेने
नहीं,
जाओ,
but
बधाने
I'm saying
लेने जाओ.
नहीं, but I'm saying कि 100,000 भी नहीं थे. I'm saying even then I think the number was close to 70, 80,000 or something. It certainly did not break the MCG record of 90,000.
I mean, what the hell
And
are we doing यार? Why are we creating such shit shows?
no, and that's what I'm saying. MCG में 90,000 people came to watch cricket, right? Can you really say that at the end of day one, 90,000 people remained in the stadium? I don't think they did.
No, no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
And and that should be like a cause of concern and very sad situation. So that
Yeah.
was there. And then first of all, ये फिर तो पता है क्या हो गया था. I don't know if you've read the rumors on Twitter. People were sort of saying कि toss करने वाले prime ministers, and then they are going to do all sorts of things. Like वो लोग तो commentary भी करने वाले थे कुछ हिंदी वाले में. And I'm like, हैं? Why would the prime ministers be commentating?
क्या, I mean, what the hell? What is their job? अरे जाके अपना काम करो ना. तुम क्या कमेंट्री क्या
Yeah,
ही
वही
करने आ
तो.
रहे हो यार? Why? I don't want to listen to the
No,
prime minister
no, no,
commentating.
no, they were not doing it. They were not doing it. I'm saying कि people on Twitter had just gone ballistic. They had taken this Rath
Yeah,
Yatra thing to another level, where there were all sorts of.
crazy.
So, but the point is, prime ministers going to watch the game is nothing new. It's happened before. And
Yeah.
it's good. Sometimes it happens on the sidelines, and I think Mr. Modi is a
But
great fan of
they
cricket. And
don't go on
so
a buggy ride in the stadium, right?
correct, they don't. And there are ways to do about this, there are ways to handle this, and I think
Yeah.
it wasn't handled well.
Yeah, it wasn't. The entire presentation was a big turnoff for me personally.
Yeah.
Now you can disagree with me, but then there is the other side of the spectrum. So Gideon Hague is a well-known author. He's written over 40
Hmm.
plus books. He's written articles, etc., etc. So he wrote this.
Hmm.
cricket's Modi question: why are we tolerating the intolerant? Says
Hmm,
Gideon. Okay.
hmm, hmm,
India's Gujarat being a dry state, you won't be able to avail yourself of a beer at the fourth test in Ahmedabad. But if you
hmm,
like your cricket with a side serve of fascistic ostentation, the climax of the Border Gavaskar Trophy in Ahmedabad will be right up your alley. So, what do you
hmm.
make of this fascistic ostentation that he talks about?
Matlab, the irony is Gideon writes intolerant in the title, and I think he's intolerant of any opinion that he doesn't like. So that is the first irony thing. It's a lot of rubbish here. The thing is, if you read the piece, right, he goes on a rant about Usman Khwaja, that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Australians
So,
are
so
so.
now let's
Huh.
talk about that. Let me bring that up because that is the most that's the segment that I find very, very deeply offensive.
Yeah,
Because and maybe Usman might agree with this, and I don't care, yaar. Bhai, Usman bhai, tumko marne ka hai, mano, yaar. I am not obliged to think like Usman Khwaja because I am only looking at it from my perspective, not Usman Khwaja's perspective.
yeah.
I don't care about Usman Khwaja's
No, no.
politics.
I
I
have
don't
a
care
I have
about
another
anything.
point to ask Gideon, because he won't basically admit it or something. But I'll do that after we are done covering this. Huh? Tell me.
Okay, look at this line. Before one of the world's greatest authoritarians will be paraded streets with Australians. So, as per Gideon Hague, Modi is one of the world's greatest authoritarians. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, if
Hmm.
he was one of the greatest authoritarians in the world, Gideon Hague would not be in a position to travel across India and write all this because Gideon was right there in India when this series was happening. By the
Correct.
way.
Hmm.
FYI. So that's the irony, but obviously Gideon does not get the irony. And I like Gideon as a journalist. I like his writing. I listen to
Yeah.
his
Same.
podcast on and off. But yeah, I don't know what. See, words matter.
Yeah.
People like Gideon Hague should use words carefully. If he's one of the greatest authoritarians, I'm sorry, Gideon, you don't know what an authoritarian is. You
Hmm.
ask people who lived under Indira Gandhi in the
नहीं
1970s,
नहीं
then you'll
अभी
know what authoritarian is.
No, no, Australia was in Pakistan na, right now. I would like
Yeah,
him to write a piece against the Pakistani army.
yeah, please do. Gideon, please do.
कि
Secondly,
Usman
now
Khwaja, he talks about Khwaja. Why not talk about Khwaja's country of birth and what the Pakistani army is doing there, right? So, but you
yeah,
can't.
not only this, yeah, no, he can't. No, he'll be cancelled. It's
Yeah.
left wing culture. So Usman Khwaja will be required to shake the hand of the man in charge of the city when 21 years ago hundreds of his co-religionists were slaughtered and tens of thousands displaced in the pogroms following the Godhra train burning while security forces remained mysteriously inactive. Strange that in Australia there's all that sensitivity to Khwaja being anywhere near a can of VB, but there's nobody fussed about his being placed in uncomfortable proximity to a political leader whose whole career has been characterized by demonizing and disenfranchising India's Muslims. Now, how many false accusations has Gideon hurled at the Prime Minister of India over here? Point number one: the Prime Minister of India. There was a proper investigation, and the courts of India have given him a clean chit. The point
Hmm.
of view is very clear. Gideon, either you have to accept the Indian courts, and if you don't accept the Indian courts, we as Indians don't really care about your opinion. That is point number one. So you're not a consistent player. The courts did not find Gideon to be Modi to be guilty of that. Uh,
Hmm.
Second, Gideon indirectly basically is justifying the global Islamic Ummah because what has the Australian Muslim, in my eyes, got to do with what's happening here? I mean,
Hmm.
he's Aussie.
Hmm.
But apparently, the global Islamic Ummah ideology is something that Gideon clearly endorses. And maybe Usman believes in it. I don't care if Usman does, but my point is very clear. Then there was this whole shenanigan about Usman Khwaja's visa was denied because he was Muslim. No, India and its visa policy since the 90s about people of Pakistani origin has been crystal clear. I have people who are married to Pakistanis in the United States of America and Canada. They also go through the same process. So I don't know what the hell is that either. So that is point
Hmm.
number two. Now, then again, it's you know the pair also honed the time order repertoire of political strongmen everywhere, intimidating of rivals. He's talking about Amit Shah and Narendra Modi. So basically, he says, look at this, Amit Shah ka beta इसमें आ गया है पॉलिटिक्स में। भाई गिडियन, राजीव शुक्ला भी तो है बीसीसीआई में, उसके पहले शरद पवार भी थे उसमें, उसके पहले बहुत सारे लोग आ गए हैं। मगर आई वांट टू नो हाउ मच ऑफ अ प्रॉब्लम गिडियन हैड देन। ही मे हैव रिटन, he may not have written, but the point is I don't see a big hue and cry about that, because clearly Gideon's politics lies on the left of the spectrum and Narendra Modi doesn't. And then to bring the BBC documentary as a modicum of evidence about this whole thing, is that is another thing that I have a huge problem with, because the BBC documentary, and I did a whole discussion with Kanchan Gupta, who is a very right now, yes, Kanchan Da is in the media advisory council of the PMO, but it doesn't mean Kanchan Da does not have a pedigree as a journalist, as a formal journalist in India. Kanchan Da is known, and I would recommend Gideon to watch my podcast with him also. And what the hell has BBC done? Look, you just cannot go around hurling accusations against people when you have no evidence and the courts in India have found you to be innocent. That's my whole point.
No, but forget all that for a second, na. Forget all that for a second. He talks about co-religionists with Khwaja, right? Does he
Yeah.
talk about Mohammad Shami or Mohammad Siraj being in the Indian team?
No, he
And
clearly
and
doesn't. And
yeah,
Mohammad Shami and Mohammad Siraj clearly are fine with it, right?
no, not just that. It's not about being fine with it. They were within the Indian team. Are they having any issues within the
and
Indian
and,
team?
and if Jay Shah is part of the BJP, and BJP is that anti-Muslim monster, they should be actively working towards not hiring Muslims in the Indian cricket team. The last time I remember, मैंने तेरे को privately message किया था, एक T20 या वनडे मैच था जिसमें हमारे तीनों फास्ट बॉलर मुस्लिम थे,
Huh,
and we are
and
happy.
it's great.
Who cares? हिंदू हो, मुस्लिम हो, जो होना है हो, बॉलिंग अच्छी करो, विकेट लो यार, हमको क्या करने का है उससे?
Exactly. So my point is कि ये अगर ये हो रहा है, right? This is what. So Gideon is being not only dishonest to his profession, he is just being dishonest because I honestly think that he probably has like met Ram Guha or someone for a drink, got like
नहीं
notes
नहीं,
from
गिडियन
them,
एज
and
ऑलवेज
essentially
यार, गिडियन ने अपनी पॉडकास्ट में मोदी को फैशिस्ट पहले भी बोला हुआ है, सो देयर इज नथिंग न्यू
no,
इन
I
दिस।
know, but where does this come from, na? ये लोग who okay,
हाँ,
you
गंगोत्री
meet.
तो रामचंद्र गुहा ही है ना, और कौन है?
That's what I'm saying. So all these cricket journalists, they meet them. ये बकवास राम गुहा ने भी अलग एक उसमें की थी, right? कि स्टेडियम का नाम क्या है and वो है, and I'm fine. Like I'm fine if they bash that this should not be named the Narendra Modi Stadium. I am also not a fan of naming stadiums
अरे
after people.
अरे,
But
we were crying for, in the first place, that why the hell is Narendra Modi allowing something like this to happen when he's alive? There should be no
Exactly, but
stadium named after
that's
him.
not the point. The point is, if Ram Guha has written about all the Nehru stadiums in the planet or Rajiv Gandhi stadiums, his point is a thing. But if he cannot even talk about that, then he's a fraud, and so is Gideon.
या अरे, रामचंद्र गुहा वो ग्रेट क्रिकेटर में जाके अपना ढिंक डांग कर रहा था, मतलब
Yeah.
अरे मेरे
So,
को
so
एक बात बताओ यार, अरे तुम लोग कौन सा यार, डोंट मेक इट पॉलिटिकल, टेल मी वन effing moment in the history of Indian cricket where it has not been political. You did not have a problem at that time. I mean, just think about it यार। शरद पवार भूल गए, राजीव
hmm.
शुक्ला भूल गए, और तुम लोग बोलते हो कैन वी टॉलरेट द इंटॉलरेंट
नहीं,
बेस्ड
नहीं,
ऑन हिस्ट्री?
Australia may have forgotten Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar hasn't forgotten Australia, and the
हाँ,
reason
रिकी
I say
पॉन्टिंग ने
it is,
उसको धक्का मारा था।
हाँ, 2006 ICC Champions Trophy में Sharad Pawar gave the trophy to Australia. Ricky Ponting shoved him out of the way as the
या
and did it. And so my point is that tab क्या था? Ricky Ponting wasn't. मतलब, should I be writing Ricky Ponting was receiving the tournament from a chief minister who was very pathetic when it came to the Mumbai bomb blast and the Mumbai riots?
Yeah,
Who's
and
at
he
the, I mean,
he openly lied about certain things. Why did he
yeah,
take the award from him? Why? Where was
huh.
the moral compass then? And अगर moral compass की बात करनी है, so should we stop playing cricket with Australia that clearly had a white Australia policy till the 1960s?
Yeah, when India was allowing everyone to vote, when India had universal right to vote, by even then other countries were not. So then Australia shouldn't, talk. So this is selective rubbish that's going on, and he has gone on so many tangents in that. I read somewhere about कि कोई
By
Reliance
the way,
का.
Australia recently did not play cricket against Afghanistan, right? That was really helping. Was Australia part of the allied forces that went into Iraq and Afghanistan or not?
They could have been. I don't know. I don't know. But this is so. Yeah, you're right. Gideon should have been writing about that also, right?
No, he must have written about that now, but then he must have said India should not play cricket with Australia on that basis, and Indian cricket players should be going through the trauma because, by the way, India is an ally of Afghanistan, and after the Americans and the Allied forces जो उनके ये सब जो है टट्टे पुट्टे जो छोड़ के चले गए अफगानिस्तान को सड़ने के लिए, इंडिया ही हमेशा जाके मदद करता है अफगानिस्तान की
and yeah,
जियोपॉलिटिकली.
correct. Or say that when there was the matches games happening in Pakistan, if there was a Hindu cricketer on the Australian side, many of his co-religionists are being targeted by certain violent mobs in Pakistan, so he's very disappointed. You should also write that, no? तब तो लिबरलिज्म इनका बैठ जाता है.
हाँ, अभी जैसे एबोरिजिनीज हैं ऑस्ट्रेलिया में, उनके ऊपर कितने अत्याचार हुए हैं अभी. अच्छा, ये छोड़ दो, रिसेंटली हिंदू टेम्पल्स, our prime minister Narendra Modi even made a statement in front of Albanese that Hindu temples Indian are being attacked in Australia. What should we do about that? What nonsense is this yaar? See, you don't want to mix politics and sport, then I am with you. Do I like Narendra Modi coming on the stadium and going around the golf cart? No. But stop your bollocks. You cannot selectively quote people. This is all bollocks. Everything is political. Everything around you is political. And if you don't like it, just don't come to India, man. It is such an authoritarian place. Nobody forced you to come to India, boss.
Yeah. No. Everything is political and nothing is political. It just depends on how you see it.
I mean, the Australian team went to Pakistan. They actively support terrorism. What the fuck are we talking about, boss?
Yeah. So I don't understand where Gideon came from and where he did, but basically इनका ये होता है कि rant खत्म हो गया तो ये, and like I said, supporting
पाकिस्तान में एक्टिवली हिंदुओं के ऊपर नरसंहार हो रहा है, ये मानता है ना तू आदित? तो क्यों खेली ऑस्ट्रेलिया टीम उधर जाके?
नहीं अरे वो तो obviously like I said, but what I'm saying is something else, Kushal, कि if you are not a fan of what happened before the test match with the whole Rath and stuff like that, doesn't mean that you're a Gideon Hague supporter, right? Or if you are a fan of that, doesn't mean that you just write rubbish about all that. And it's so funny that he talked about if you want to grab a beer, you can't in Gujarat's dry state and stuff. I have been someone vocal about I've been absolutely vocal that Gujarat should not be a dry state and stuff. But even saying that is a load of rubbish because actually, if you
he's making it sound is a BJP thing. It has been there since India's independence.
No, that's what I'm saying. And second thing is, if you are from out of India or if you are from out of Gujarat, it's actually quite easy to get a permit and get a beer there. Right?
Exactly.
Maybe Gideon thought it was too expensive and he didn't want to fork out his money, or no. I don't know. But the reason I bring it up is it was said to try to prove a point of intolerance. That's why it was said. That line, right? कि अरे ये है वो है ये, and अगर आपको उतना है तो go fight about tell your Australian PM to make that an issue, that why can't I find a beer here or something, right? Like
and the Australian PM can clearly refuse, na? The Australian PM can clearly refuse to have relations with India.
Yeah, or go to Ahmedabad. So this is rubbish, and this is coming from someone who actually believes that there should not be a prohibition in Ahmedabad. I'm making it very clear. I think the prohibition, but I will not use that to do dirty, cheap political point scoring.
He started off with that, the Daru question.
Because वो intention ही वही है ना. Whenever they start off with that is the intention, right? They will not say that the reason why it was implemented was because you have to be adhere to Gandhi's loyals or something, or Gandhi's morals. So why doesn't he say that I think the whole concept where Bapu said that alcohol is that I don't agree with Mahatma Gandhi, so and Gandhi was totally wrong, so Gujarat should allow alcohol, right? वो तो बोलने की हिम्मत नहीं है किसी में.
अरे यार, मतलब बेकार की बातें करके क्या मतलब है कि तुम स्पोर्ट्स को पॉलिटिकल मत बनाओ. कहाँ नहीं है दुनिया में, एक जगह तो बताओ. और हम जैसे लोग, इफ गिडियंस प्रिंसिपल स्टैंड इज पॉलिटिशियंस शुड नॉट कम टू स्पोर्टिंग स्टेडियम्स, I am with him. I also don't like it. If Gideon's stand is the golf car stupid thing that they did is stupid, I am with him. But if he's going to say Usman Khwaja being a Muslim is singled out, boss, did he feel How do you think an average? And then he had to bring Ravindra Jadeja's wife, who is fought from the BJP ticket. Did he bring any other cricket player's wife who has fought from Congress tickets?
It's just
Why did he
ridiculous.
not do that?
It's
You know, in
rubbish.
the article, he mentions Ravindra Jadeja's wife single-handedly.
Yeah, yeah, I saw absolutely. So I mean, yeah, this is just ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, if I want to, I mean, ऐसे इतने सारे examples है where we can go and talk about cricketers and stuff. Like you said, Rajiv Shukla was sitting there. He was a Congress MP, so sitting Congress MP, right?
Yeah.
Till
And
months ago.
look, and some people like us have been having problems with all of this, and the
Achha,
the
no. I want to talk a little bit else. He talks about Parimal Nathwani, right? Being essentially, he was talking about Parimal Nathwani when he talks about the Reliance executive and Ambani, right? Why doesn't he mention which party, which member of parliament Parimal Nathwani is an MP from? Most people will not know that. When I tell you, it will be shocked. He was a member of YSR Congress. He's a member of YSR Congress from Andhra Pradesh. लिखो ना वो opposition party है वो.
And see, this is my problem with all these things. If you don't understand Indian politics, don't talk about it. And if you want to talk about it, be factually accurate. You're actually factually inaccurate. And if your source is Ramachandra Guha, then माफ करो मुझे, आगे बढ़ो. I'm sorry, I don't take Ramachandra Guha seriously.
But I'm pretty sure.
And I know Indian politics much better than most of these people. But another thing that was very weird.
I'm pretty sure the mother. No, yeah. 1 second. Just one quick point, and we'll go to that. The mothership of this load of rubbish is Ramachandra Guha. So I would not be surprised if his source is Ramachandra Guha.
नहीं, इन सबका सोर्स राम गुहा ही होता है यार, भले वो ग्रेट क्रिकेटर हो. You know, somebody who actually gave a mature criticism of this entire thing were Adam and Jeff of the Final Word Cricket podcast. They gave a mature criticism of it.
I love Jeff Lemon and Adam. Both are fantastic.
Shout out to both of them. Mature commentators, mature commentary. Like, I don't care if you are far left. I don't give a fuck. Seriously, I don't give a fuck. But be accurate. That's all I give a fuck about. Be accurate. And I'm swearing I don't care. I will swear because this bugs me no end. This bugs me that you keep on doing it. Narendra Modi is a democratically elected prime minister of this country. The courts of this country have not declared him guilty. I will go by my democracy, and I have more faith in Indian democracy than Australians commenting from outside India. We don't need your help. Absolutely. And you fix your country, we will fix our country. But another weird thing that happened, and मुझे surprisingly विचित्र कॉर्नर से इसके लिए भी मिली. मैं ये वीडियो प्ले करने वाला हूं. ये क्या था मेरे को तो समझ नहीं पड़ रहा. ये कंट्रोवर्सी क्या थी? ये वीडियो पूरा ध्यान से, ये पूरा वीडियो स्टार्ट से लेकर एंड तक पहले देखो, फिर मैं इसको ब्रेक डाउन करके फिर से प्ले करूंगा. So, इस वीडियो में क्या होता है? ठीक है, टू नरेट टू एवरीवन. स्टार्ट होता है सूर्या सूर्या बोल रहे लोग. तो फर्स्ट मोमेंट होती है यहाँ पे सूर्या है waving the hand. Then Surya does this. Surya does this. This is a typical North Indian pranam, which is considered to be a Jai Shri Ram pranam also, whether you like it or not. If you have been in North India, everybody should know. People shout this. Surya is still in the picture now. Now, Surya just idhar jata hai. There is nothing over here. People are just randomly saying Jai Shri Ram. And यहाँ पे जाकर minute 20 second 24 पे जब Shami moves all the way from here to here, आगे, they just say Shami Jai Shri Ram. People started saying, why are you saying Jai Shri Ram to Shami? You are doing it purposely to trigger him. Boss, if I was to clip those last 2 seconds, 24 onwards, and I was to share this clip, is this video about Surya Prakash, Sky Jai Shri Ram, or is it about Shami Jai Shri Ram?
So it depends on where you cut it.
I really want to talk. I really want to know, like, आप इंटेंट को कैसे जज कर सकते हो अगर मैं
No,
आपको लास्ट के वो 3 सेकंड के वर्ड ना बताऊं.
नहीं वो आई एग्री, बट वो उसमें वो क्वेश्चन भी है कि कौन बोल रहा था. वाज इट द सेम पर्सन सेइंग इट बोथ द टाइम्स और वाज इट अ डिफरेंट पर्सन सेइंग इट, राइट?
मेरे को तो आवाज में कोई चेंज नहीं लगी, मतलब
नहीं,
रैंडमली सारे क्राउड चिल्ला रहे
हाँ,
थे.
मैंने तो
और
पहली
लास्ट
बार
में
ये क्लिप
एक
देखी.
बंदे, एक बंदे की आवाज आती है, मगर वो
हम्म,
कैसे बोल सकते हैं कि वो पहले नहीं बोल रहा था और वो सिर्फ बाद में बोल रहा है, और ये नहीं हुआ और वो नहीं हुआ. ये तो बहुत मुश्किल है जज करना. मेरा पॉइंट ये है,
हम्म,
दिस इज
हम्म,
सच अ डेंजरस प्रेसिडेंट दैट वी आर सेटिंग इन आवर डिस्कोर्स, दैट
हम्म,
आज हम ये कह रहे हैं कि, एंड दीज आर माय व्यूज, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दीज आर आदित्य व्यूज, आज हम ये कह रहे हैं कि हम किसी को भी जय श्री राम नहीं बोल सकते अगर वो मुसलमान है. आई रिफ्यूज टू लिव बाय दिस स्टैंडर्ड. आई विल नॉट लिव बाय दिस स्टैंडर्ड. मैं नहीं लीजूंगा.
हम्म. नहीं, और ऑल्सो ये है ना कि ट्विटर रिड्यूसेस दिस डिस्कोर्सेस टू सब, इट्स कॉम्प्लिकेटेड डिबेट. इन सम केसेस इट माइट बी अ रीजनल ग्रीटिंग ओवर अ रिलीजियल ग्रीटिंग, राइट? कैसे बुलाते हैं, a lot of people I know when they meet they say ram ram. In Gujarat no one says that. In Gujarat people say kem cho, right? It's
यस.
so it's it
जय
could
श्री
be a
कृष्ण
religion.
बहुत बोलते हैं गुजरात में लोग. जय श्री कृष्ण बहुत
कुछ
बोलते हैं.
लोग, कुछ लोग I mean there are people who say Jai Shri Krishna, there are people who don't. There are Jains who will say Jai Jinendra, there are people who will say Kemcho. But I'm saying
यस.
that there are regional greetings, there are religious greetings, and it requires a deeper debate and not just a Twitter rant. And what you're saying is right कि अगर आप वीडियो को कहीं पे भी काट दो तो it could be perceived as anything.
Yes, which is my
कोई कुछ
point.
भी
So to make only one narrative out of this, अरे आप क्या, see this clip shows no evidence of people wanting to heckle Shami or
no no
hurt Shami.
if no no and if they were, throw them out of the stadium. If they
Yeah,
were
if they
heckling, if
were,
they do,
if they were, if they were.
if they were, throw them out of the stadium or find out who the stadium is. But don't just take one video and juxtapose it and then
I
extrapolate it to the entire stadium.
And this is deeply problematic that we are creating this level of ridiculousness in this country, that, and see, the moment you say you cannot utter Jai Shri Ram to X and X cannot utter Allahu Akbar to you, you are basically agreeing on monotheistic terms. I,
Hmm.
as a non monotheist, refuse to abide by those terms. I will not
Hmm.
abide by your terms. I am a non monotheist, and in a non monotheistic term, there is mutual respect where I will respect your Allahu Akbar and you will respect my Jai Shri Ram. And if you cannot abide by that, I will not abide by your rules either. That's it.
Hmm. Absolutely. No, I agree. But the sad part is that this dominated also was a side domination of what could have been a potentially phenomenal series. I think we had patches of brilliant cricket in India and Australia, but
Yeah.
kabhi kabhi kya hota tha ki I think because of the pitch or because of whatever it is. But one thing is for sure, that the quality of Test cricket is still there. We come to New Zealand, England, even South Africa, West Indies. Even though West Indies
Yeah.
lost the two matches, the West Indies bowlers were outstanding in innings. They uh, they had a couple of collapses engineered from South Africa where they lost like 7 or 8 wickets, in a row or something. But let me ask you this, Kushal. Do you think Test cricket is a five or six country sport now, or do you think that now other countries are catching up, or they should just be playing more?
I think they should be playing more, and eventually it takes me to the statement by Ravi Shastri also, that I think ODI cricket should be shut or it will die. I think it's much better. Three formats are not sustainable, boss. You cannot
They are
sustain three
not.
formats.
They are
They're
not.
not
Like
sustainable.
I honestly don't understand the purpose of the three ODI series right now. India
No,
versus
what
Australia.
or you have to do is you have to rejig the rules in one day cricket, like you add one more bouncer or something of that sort. That's my view.
No, matlab, I am actually of the other opinion that if you want to keep ODI cricket, keep it like how FIFA World Cup does it. Like have qualifiers. Like ये नहीं कि automatic cricketer, automatic जो T20 में ऐसा कुछ होता है, ऐसा नहीं. Have qualifiers. Each country goes through qualifying stages and then just eliminates and then World Cup and have a short World Cup. Like ये जो अभी monstrosity है 45 दिन का. First of all, cricket needs to get this idiocy out of having 45-day, 55-day World Cup. No one wants to watch it. Right? Have a 30-day World Cup where every game is exciting और कुछ ना कुछ रोज हो रहा है. That is why T20 World Cup is so much fun to watch. Like it's fun because you crave for it. Right? If you have these अभी जो World Cup India में हो रहा है, where there are like 10 matches every, even the IPL यार, what rubbish is this where you play one match a day? ये 1990s चल रहा है क्या कि one match is, people have multiple streaming platforms, they'll just look at multiple streaming platforms. And I remember the day there were two IPL games going on simultaneously and people were having a meltdown कि अरे कैसे हो सकता है कैसे हो. That's how the world goes. English Premier League देखो, NFL देखो, NBA देखो, any league in the world, you have multiple games going at the same time. You pick and choose which one you want, or you support your regional team. No one watches all the games. It's unsustainable, and that is why the
Yeah.
tournaments lose interest. Abhi NFL में अमेरिका में season खत्म हुआ, right? In September, it ended in February. There will be no NFL played for 6 months. There'll be only out of season, preseason rules. That is what keeps the interest, because people are craving for it. If you just keep on playing cricket again and again without breaks, without windows, one day cricket will die, and I'm sorry, Test cricket will too.
Or talking about media representation, did you see this female cricketer from South Africa? What उसकी कहानी क्या थी और उसको फॉक्स स्पोर्ट्स ने रिप्रेजेंट कैसे किया? Fat shamed cricket star. This is the player. Excuse me, fat shamed? Are you serious? Perhaps release an official statement from you regarding the circumstances that led you to make. Basically ये बंदी ने रिटायरमेंट ली थी और उसको बोलते तुझे फैट शेम किया गया था. ऐसा कुछ था नहीं, एक्चुअली कुछ फिटनेस से रिलेटेड इशू था एंड दैट्स व्हाई शी वाज अपोजिंग. बट पॉइंट है कि
Unbelievable.
मतलब अनबिलीवेबल है यार. मीडिया के जो स्टैंडर्ड्स है ना, ये जब मेरे को जब ये न्यूज मिली ना तो मतलब मैं हैरान हो गया. अभी लेट अस टेक क्वेश्चंस नाउ. क्वेश्चंस में क्या था देखते हैं. People watch test for quality and T20s for fun. ODIs are ugly middle POS. ODI should end and test and T20 should be focused. ये तो हमने already. I don't know if ODIs will end. I think we have to rejig something, do something about the
Till
ODIs.
the ODI World
Right?
Cup, till the ODI World Cup is as popular as it is, they won't end, they won't finish
Yeah.
it. They'll keep it, but they'll have to rejig it like this.
So yeah, I don't know.
Also, I have to ask you, Kushal, right? If India can play Pakistan in ODI World Cup and T20 World Cup, why can't they play them in World Test Championship?
I have no clue.
I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's an ICC event. So it's just silly. And मैं तो अपने इंडिया के लिए बोल रहा हूँ कि if by chance Pakistan qualifies for the World Test Championship final ever in the next leg, I want to play them at least once and not just have the first game in Lords. So if I'm telling you, BCCI has to also make this clear, the government of India, if India can't just selectively play Pakistan in ICC tournament, या तो खेलो या मत खेलो, ये आधा अधूरा कटा मत करो, because it's actually spoiling our players' chances.
Yeah. So okay, somebody said, can you also talk about interview of Ramachandra Guha? यार ठीक है, उसको रहने दो यार. वो मतलब वो एक
नहीं,
टट्टी
because it was
इंटरव्यू था.
typical. I'll just say one thing. It was as usual filled with a lot of misinformation. But what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was done was he approaches everything from a position of nostalgia, and the position that what he believed in is the only right one true opinion on cricket. Right, unfortunately. And Ram Guha का क्या था कि till 2000, I would say 16, 17, till the YouTube boomerang happened. Ram Guha was उसने because एक किताब लिखी थी, which is a good book. You should read the book, because even if you disagree with Ram Guha, पता चलना चाहिए कहाँ disagreement होता है. Him, Mukul Kesavan were the only voices of cricket, right? Now suddenly you have voices of cricket who not only challenge him, who challenge him politically also. So when he tries to do rubbish like what Gideon tried to do or spin in his politics, he'll be called out. So I think that stems from the frustration that he has of being called out of those things.
And also of that legend who said, "What is your name, sir?" वो बंदे को मैं कभी नहीं भूलूंगा. What is your name, sir? Ramachandra Guha. That was the best. That was the best. What a legend. अच्छा, दूसरा एक और प्रश्न था कि could you please also discuss the multiple reviews that happened in the WPL match? Why is the third umpire not enforcing decisions, and why give a decision if not sure? देखो, I don't know what happened in WPL. तू बता दे भाई.
नहीं, basically क्या हुआ, I think there were two, I'm assuming this is because of the Mumbai Indians वाला batting where there were two DRS reviews on one ball, right? Basically ये अभी last 2 या 3 दिन पहले match हुई थी, and the Mumbai, the basically what was it is the both the teams used the DRS on the same ball, and Haley Matthews, I think, was umpire ने not out दिया, but after the bowler took the DRS, the umpire changed the decision and declared the batter out. Then the second time when Matthews again took the DRS, usme third umpire noticed that the contact of the ball was made with the bat first instead of the pad, and so then they or something ऐसा कुछ था, and then they changed it again to not out. So it was very bizarre. And my question, so I'm assuming this is what he's talking about. There were two reviews on the same ball, and first of all, this is ridiculous because you have to have a standard, right? कि एक third umpire का decision कैसे होता है. Second, now if the umpire makes a mistake, which team loses the review? The second team or the first team? Because second team ने तो not out का out किया था, right? And the decision was in their favor. तो उसका क्या होता है? And the other problem with DRS is there is no sameness of technology हर जगह पे. So there is the percentage of error is less. So I think what ICC needs to do, if to ensure that DRS is completely above blame and above board, is to have the same technology. अगर आप Snico use कर रहे हैं, तो same type of Snico should be used everywhere. Same type of ball tracker should be used everywhere. And if you are using hotspot or something, don't use hot, because तब ये इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया में भी कंट्रोवर्सी हुई थी where Snico was showing one thing and Fox also has hotspot, it was not showing anything, but you have to use Snico for one thing and you cannot use hotspot for one thing. So if you have these controversies arise when you have multiple technologies and no standardness in technology, you should have one standardness. And when it comes to umpiring standards in India, yeah, we have abysmal umpiring standards, absolutely bad. There are a few exceptions, but we've just they made laughable mistakes, and I hope that has changed. But अभी 3 हफ्ते में IPL जब शुरू होगा तो पूरा बुफे आएगा इंडियन अंपायर्स का, और पता चलेगा how many are good or how many are bad, because some of them are very bad.
Yeah, so somebody had raised this factoid that 3 Australian soldiers were court-martialed for atrocities against civilians in Afghanistan. Well, that it is not a rebuttal to why we should not play cricket with Afghanistan. I don't agree. I just think this whole piece by Gideon made no sense for me. If his piece was like, why are these politicians parading around like Muppets, I would have said yes. Everything else was just bollocks. Possible 11 for the World Test Championship final for the team. Yeah, Abhi, it is too early for us to comment on that because we don't even know the pitch, right? How do we know the pitch?
Yeah, exactly. Or June mein, that's what I was going to say. June mein, England mein, the ball will swing. I think our game is at the Oval. I don't know if it's at the Lords or the Oval, but I think it's at the
Oval mein.
So it'll
And
behave
we have a
differently.
reserved day to cover from rain also.
Yeah, no, but the pitch will swing. So I don't think we can have more than one spinner. And unfortunately or fortunately, it'll probably be either Ashwin or Jadeja. I don't think both are going to be picked. If both are picked, I'll be surprised. But I think that's what's going to happen unless the pitch shows something else. If the pitch has wear and tear, then both will be picked. Certainly, Akshar Patel, I don't see him playing. The question is, Akshar Patel ki jagah, would you have a specialist bowler or someone like Shardul Thakur? I think we should have a specialist bowler like a Siraj. So it'll probably be Shami, Siraj.
Ashwin and Jadeja can play as the all-rounder rather than Shardul, and we should play 3 fast bowlers: Siraj, Shami, Bumrah to hone nahi wala. He's gone, I think. For
and that is the bit I wanted to rant a little bit about. जो मैंने पहले बोला था कि जसप्रीत बुमराह के साथ we have to be very careful. I think unfortunately we are looking at a very reduced career for Jasprit Bumrah where he'll play few months a year. His body just cannot seem to take the load that Indian cricket has. Shoaib Akhtar called it because अपने back पे जितना वो कष्ट दे रहा है, right? It's a problem. Unfortunately, Jasprit Bumrah for us is going to be our best bowler when he is playing. But we have to think of a future where he's definitely not going to play as long as James Anderson. But अगर हमारे साथ 5 या 6 साल भी खेला, तो we have to play him in patches and in certain marquee matches. And it is shocking to think he had one whole year from the almost 1 year before the ICC T20 to the World Test Championship. I mean, 9 months or 10 months, and he'll not be able to get fit in time. I don't know if something is wrong or if he's breaking down in training. But yeah, but I can assure you, I am not a fan of KS Bharat being our lead keeper in the World Test Championship.
Yeah.
But if he is, India is in
See,
trouble.
I don't know who the third seamer will be. If I don't want, I would not pick Umesh as the third seamer. Maybe
Hmm.
Bhuvi हो सकता है या
It has to be a swing bowler. It has to be a swing bowler. The
अर्शदीप
guy who can swing
अर्शदीप
it.
का करा दो. तो
हाँ,
भुवी ही होएगा ना,
I don't
स्विंगर
mind.
तो भुवी ही है ना, क्योंकि ईशान तो अभी आउट ऑफ
Arshdeep,
द फ्रे हो गया है.
correct. So it'll be someone like that. Like have a left field choice. I just hope they don't come back and say हमने जयदेव उनादकट को pick किया है. I mean, nothing against that man, but for some reason he's like the king of comebacks. This is like I don't know how many comebacks he's made in the Indian team. So Indian team has this way of making bizarre picks, but it has to be someone like that. But if you're not playing Jadeja, then you play Shardul Thakur as the all-rounder. If you are, it's so either Jadeja and Shardul. Ashwin plays for sure, and then three fast bowlers. That is what our
Yes.
bowling composition should be. Batting, to bhai abhi lottery hai.
Yeah. अच्छा, और दो क्विक क्वेश्चंस. व्हाई डजंट एनी जर्नलिस्ट स्पीक अगेंस्ट पॉलिटिकल ड्रामा फियर? बाबा सिंपल है, उन लोगों को एक्रेडिटेशन ही नहीं मिलती है. सीधा बोल रहा हूँ,
हाँ,
सीधा बोल रहा हूँ.
एक्सेस नहीं
बीसीसीआई के
मिलेगी,
अगेंस्ट
एक्सेस
बोला,
नहीं मिलेगी.
नहीं एक्सेस ही नहीं मिलेगी. खुला बोल रहा हूँ. ये क्रिटिसिज्म करेक्ट है. अगर गिडियन हेग ये लिखता था ना, मैं उसको 50,000 बार शेयर करूंगा. ये
It is
क्रिटिसिज्म
easier
करेक्ट है.
to speak. It is easier to
यस,
speak up against Narendra Modi than it is against BCCI. And this is not
बीसीसीआई.
just आज का BCCI, 5 साल का BCCI. I would like to see an op-ed written about the tenure of Rajiv Shukla and Sharad Pawar and what great things they have achieved in BCCI. There will not be a single op-ed written.
Yeah. So that's the point. So भूल जाओ. बाकी
Some,
why
someone
do you?
someone made a joke on Twitter कि Sacred Games में एक डायलॉग है कि सिर्फ त्रिवेदी ही बचेगा. राजीव शुक्ला is that Trivedi of Indian cricket, that whoever the administration is, Rajiv Shukla will survive everything.
Yes.
But even if there is a left wing CPIM government, Rajiv Shukla will be the president of BCCI. वो कहीं भी नहीं जाने वाला है. I can
हम
guarantee you that.
हम फुल सेट है लाइफ में. शुक्ला साहब,
हाँ,
you rock. Okay, last
हाँ.
question and then we'll wrap up. Why do you think Siraj was not preferred over Shami in the BGT, who clearly was struggling most? है, Shami was struggling. Shami ने 4 विकेट पहले 2 टेस्ट मैच में, तो Shami ने इतनी
No,
अच्छी
no.
बॉलिंग की थी.
So
कौन सा
no,
मैच
no. I
देख रहे
think
थे
this is
भाई?
the. So I think legit they rested both of them for one test matches
Yeah,
because ये
रेस्ट कर रहे थे.
थोड़ा yeah, they had decided that Umesh will play two test matches and Shami and Siraj will play three each. Right, so that is the thing. So Umesh got his two test matches, and Umesh Yadav was brilliant with the reverse swinging ball in the third test matches. If you remember in Indore, अगर कोई हमें मैच में लेके आया है वापस, तो वो अश्विन और उमेश थे, with the crazy spell they had in that one day, right, with the older ball. But I think Shami and Siraj were both preferred. It was just giving them both chances of what to do.
Yeah. किसी ने लास्ट मिनट पूछा, if DK can be an exception, so can Saha, but looking forward, who is the pick? Samson और ईशान? संजू को यार टेस्ट मैच में तो नहीं ट्राई करेंगे, ईशान को ही करना पड़ेगा अगर लास्ट मोमेंट ये लोग ट्राई करेंगे तो.
Yeah, absolutely. नहीं, संजू सैमसन को इंग्लैंड में नहीं करेंगे यार.
ओ
देखो
यार,
इंग्लैंड में
संजू को वाइड बॉल में तो मिलता नहीं है बेचारे की, ऐसी बैट लक खराब है. रेड बॉल तो बहुत दूर की बात है.
नहीं, आई थिंक नहीं. दूसरा ये है ना बॉस की, देखो संजू सैमसन का क्या है कि इंग्लैंड इज अ डिफरेंट बीस्ट. विराट कोहली स्ट्रगल्ड इन हिज फर्स्ट सीरीज इन इंग्लैंड. Like he could not figure it out. So it's not easy. You cannot get an completely inexperienced. हाँ, but वो भी नहीं है कि केएल राहुल ने 2 साल पहले सेंचुरी मारी तो उसको ले लो अभी. It has to be a happy balance.
Yeah, chalo, we'll end today's podcast because Adit also has to go and I have to go. So, as always, guys, please follow Adit on social media. All his social media links are in the description. And please subscribe to the Cārvāka podcast YouTube channel. Like this video, comment rakho. If you're listening to this on Spotify, iTunes, leave a rating and a review over there too. And please become a member on YouTube, Patreon, fan mo, jidhar bhi ho. membership driven podcast hai bhaiya, support karo. Also, for the cricket podcast lovers, not only will I be talking consistently with Adit, where we cover the news and views, Jared Kimber and I are also planning to do something where Jared and I also start regular discussions on cricket. वो थोड़े different discussions होंगे, but yeah, I'll try my best to go on and even MMA के ऊपर chat करने की कोशिश करूंगा after your UFC 286 is done this time. So Adit, as always, buddy, pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely. The pleasure is mine.
Chalo. All right, guys. Take care. Bye bye. See you next time.
Right.